The sun dipped low over the small Filipino village, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. The evening breeze carried with it the faint rustle of leaves, but the yard outside Manuel's home remained hauntingly quiet. There, beneath a mango tree, stood an old wooden swing. Its ropes creaked softly as Manuel's hand pushed it back and forth, but no laughter followed, no tiny feet kicked the air with joy. His eyes, heavy with sorrow, stayed fixed on the empty seat. He whispered a single name, Luis, his voice trembling as though saying it might bring his little boy back. The sound hung in the air for a moment, swallowed by silence. To any passerby, it might have looked like a man simply lost in thought, but in that simple motion of pushing an empty swing lay the weight of a broken heart. Manuel's fingers traced the worn wood, remembering the countless afternoons when Luis had begged for just one more push. The swing had once been alive with squeals of delight, a symbol of innocence and joy. Now, it stood as a reminder of what had been taken too soon. Neighbors passed by with quiet nods, knowing his pain but not daring to disturb him. For Manuel, this small act, pushing the swing, was his way of holding on, of keeping Luis close, even if only in memory. The silence around him was deafening, and yet in that silence, the depth of his loss spoke louder than any words. The memory came to him unbidden, as if the past had slipped into the present. He saw Luis, his little boy, darting barefoot through the rice fields, his laughter dancing on the wind like music. The boy's cheeks were flushed with joy, his tiny hands reaching out to catch dragonflies that always escaped just beyond his grasp. Manuel had run after him, pretending to be out of breath, just to hear his son's giggle grow louder. Those were the moments that made life feel full, simple, and whole. But then the memory shifted. He saw again the day when joy slipped from his hands. Luis had fallen ill suddenly, his small body weak against the fever. Manuel had carried him to the town doctor, praying desperately, whispering promises to God with every step. Yet the fever raged, and in the dim light of their modest home, Manuel held his son's hand for the last time. He could still feel the tiny fingers go limp, still hear the silence that followed. Now, in the quiet of the evening, Manuel sat by a small altar inside his home. A single candle flickered beside a framed photo of Luis, its flame swaying gently as if it, too, mourned with him. Manuel's face bent low, his tears staining the wooden table. He whispered a prayer, not for strength, but for one more chance to hear his son's voice. The house echoed with emptiness, every corner reminding him of the laughter that once filled it. The following day, Manuel walked home from a long shift at the construction site, his shoulders heavy not just from the work but from the weight of grief he carried each day. The streets of the small town were busy with vendors and tricycles, yet Manuel's world felt muted, as if life moved on without him. As he turned a corner near the marketplace, he noticed a boy sitting on the sidewalk, barefoot and clutching a handful of small flowers. The child couldn't have been older than 7, close to the age Luis would have been. His clothes were worn, his face smudged with dirt, but his eyes, bright and innocent, sparked with something that struck Manuel deep in the heart. For a moment, he froze, almost believing he was looking at his son again. The boy glanced up shyly and held out a single wilted flower, his small voice breaking the silence. "Sir, would you like to buy one? I haven't eaten all day." The words pierced through Manuel's chest. He saw the hunger behind the boy's smile, the hope hidden in his trembling hands. Manuel's throat tightened, memories of Luis flooding back, his laugh, his questions, his gentle way of asking for more rice at dinner. The resemblance was uncanny, almost unbearable, yet strangely comforting. He crouched down to the child's level, searching those innocent eyes. In them, Manuel felt the presence of something he thought he had lost forever, the spark of his son's spirit. For the first time in years, his heart stirred with something other than grief. Manuel's hands trembled as he reached into his pocket. He didn't have much, just the crumpled bills he had set aside for his own dinner after a long day of labor. Yet looking at the boy, thin and hungry, he felt a pull stronger than his own needs. Without hesitation, he bought every flower the child held, though most were wilted and losing color. The boy's eyes widened in disbelief as Manuel pressed the money into his hands. "Keep it," Manuel said softly. "And eat something good tonight." The boy's lips quivered into a smile, but before Manuel could walk away, he remembered the small parcel of food wrapped in paper in his bag. It was the simple meal his wife had prepared, rice and dried fish, the only comfort waiting for him at the end of the day. He opened it slowly and held it out. "Here, share this with me," he offered, his voice low but steady. The boy stared, as though no one had ever been so kind. Then, with small, trembling hands, he accepted the food. As he ate, tears welled in his eyes, but his face lit up with gratitude. Manuel watched in silence, and in that moment, something extraordinary happened. He could almost see Luis in the boy's smile, the same innocent joy, the same spark of life. A warmth spread through Manuel's chest, washing away, even if just for a moment, the years of emptiness. It was as if his son's love had returned to him through this child. As the boy finished the last bite, he looked up at Manuel with a smile so pure it seemed to light up the dim street. Manuel's heart, once buried under years of grief, felt strangely lighter. For so long, he had carried the belief that when Luis died, all his purpose had died with him. Yet in this fleeting moment, sitting on the curb beside a hungry child, he realized something profound: love doesn't end with loss. It transforms, waiting to be given again. Manuel stood, placing a gentle hand on the boy's head. "Take care of yourself," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. The boy nodded, clutching his flowers and the small bundle of food as though they were treasures. Walking home, Manuel felt a calm he hadn't known in years. The empty swing would still wait for him, and the ache of losing Luis would never fully fade. But now he understood, his son's memory could live on through every act of kindness he offered. Love wasn't meant to be locked away in grief, it was meant to flow, to heal, to be shared. That night, as he lit the candle beside Luis's photo, Manuel smiled for the first time in a long while. "I'll keep giving, hijo," he whispered softly. "In your name." And in the quiet glow of the flame, Manuel no longer felt alone. He carried with him the certainty that even in loss, there could be purpose, and even in grief, love could find its way back to the world.